You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art Ed?
Try to slice it.
Who art is Mr. Wood art Ed me?
Good. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted, weekly art history for all ages. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today we're looking at Ibrahim El-Salahi. Ibrahim El-Salahi was born in 1930 in Omdurman, Sudan, a city across the Nile River from the capital, Khartoum. Growing up, he was surrounded by art and learning. His father ran a Quranic school where young Ibrahim was first taught the art of calligraphy. He went on to study art formally at the School of Design in Khartoum before earning a scholarship to attend the Slade School of Fine Art in London in the 1950s. Upon his return to Sudan, he felt a deep disconnect between his Western-style training and his own cultural heritage. El-Salahi sought to create a truly Sudanese artistic identity. He turned back to calligraphy, but instead of writing words, he used the elegant lines and shapes of the letters as building blocks for a drawing. He wove these calligraphic forms together with traditional African motifs, earthy color palettes inspired by the Sudanese landscape, and elements of European modernism like Cubism and Surrealism. This unique fusion made him a standout figure in a modernist art movement known as the Khartoum School. Now, here are 5 things to know about Ibrahim El-Salahi. Number 1, he was wrongly imprisoned without a trial. In 1975, while serving as Sudan's Undersecretary of Culture, El-Salahi was suddenly arrested and accused of being involved in an anti-government plot. Apparently, his cousin had joined a group staging a coup, but El-Salahi knew nothing about it. He was completely innocent, but he was thrown into the notorious Cooper prison in Khartoum without any formal charges or even a trial. He spent 6 months and 18 days in brutal conditions, a traumatic experience that haunted him and shaped his art for the rest of his life. To keep his mind sharp and his spirit alive, he practiced drawing while he was imprisoned. He would use his finger to sketch images in the sand floor of his cell, memorizing the composition before wiping it away. He eventually got a pencil and began to draw on any scrap of paper he could find, including the small paper bags that held his food rations. These drawings became his famous prison notebook, a raw and powerful visual diary of his time in confinement, filled with distorted faces and skeletal figures that captured his despair but also help us appreciate his resilience. Number 2. He became the first African artist to have a full retrospective at the Tate Modern. Now, this is a huge deal. The Tate Modern in London is one of the most important modern art museums in the world, and having a retrospective is a major accomplishment for any artist. In 2013, the exhibition Ibrahim El-Salahi, a visionary modernist, opened at the Tate, making him the very first artist from Africa to be celebrated with such a comprehensive show at the institution. It featured over 100 of his works, from his early paintings to his later, more abstract pieces, spanning over 5 decades of his career. The show cemented his status as a key figure in the global history of modernism, and finally giving him the worldwide recognition he had long deserved. But the exhibition wasn't just a big deal for El-Salahi. It was a recognition of the significance of African art more broadly, highlighting the immense contribution of African artists to the international art scene. Number 3. His father's calligraphy lessons were his first and arguably most important art school. As a child, El-Salahi's father insisted that he learn the precise rules and beautiful forms of Arabic calligraphy. At the time, Ibrahim resisted, preferring to draw people and animals, but this early training became the foundation for his artistic language. After returning from his studies in London, he realized that the key to creating a uniquely Sudanese art form was in the very lessons he had once resisted. He began to look at Arabic letters not as text, but pure form. He would deconstruct them, stretching, twisting, and weaving the shapes together to create dynamic compositions. Human and animal figures would emerge from the elegant curves and sharp angles of the script. And this innovative use of calligraphy allowed him to bridge the gap between abstraction and figuration, creating a visual vocabulary that was both deeply personal and universally understood, rooted in his Islamic and Sudanese heritage. Number 4, he has a daily drawing ritual that he considers a form of prayer. After the trauma of his imprisonment, El-Salahi found it difficult to connect with traditional forms of prayer. To rebuild his spiritual practice, he turned to drawing. Every day, he creates a small, meditative drawing on whatever paper he has on hand. He calls this daily ritual his visual diary. This practice is a way for him to quiet his mind, process his thoughts, and connect with the spiritual world. The drawings are often abstract and automatic, created without a preconceived plan, allowing his subconscious to guide his hand. He's created thousands of these small works over the years, but they're not intended for exhibition. They're deeply personal, connecting his art, his life, and spirituality. And number 5, he created a massive tree mural at New York's MoMA in his late 80s. The tree is a powerful and recurring symbol of El-Salahi's work, representing life, family, and growth, particularly the haraza tree, which can flourish in the harsh Sudanese climate. In 2017, well into his late 80s, he embarked on one of his most ambitious projects, a monumental work titled The Genealogies of Trees. Due to his age and physical limitations, working on a single massive canvas just wouldn't work. Instead, he created the work on 46 separate smaller panels, and then putting them together for a larger composition, which, when assembled, forms a sprawling tree-like mural teeming with his signature figures and forms. The work was acquired by the Museum of Modern Art in New York, another of the world's top museums. It stands as a testament to his enduring creativity and his remarkable ability to adapt his artistic practice to overcome any obstacle. Now, I always feel like we understand an artist better when we look at a specific work. So today I'm looking at The Inevitable, created in 1984-85. It's a powerful and haunting large-scale black and white work on paper, composed of 9 panels joined together. The title points to the central theme, the inevitability of death. El-Salahi created this piece during a period of immense private and public grief. He was mourning the death of his father while also witnessing the horrific famine, political instability, and suffering that was consuming Sudan in the mid-1980s. The artwork became an outlet for this overwhelming sorrow, a monumental meditation on mortality, suffering, and the human condition. Looking at the piece, I'm immediately struck by its dense and complex composition. It's a jumble of lines and shapes, alluding to figures, but a little bit abstracted and almost feels sort of cubist. The figures seem to writhe and contort. We get a sense of struggle with the clear raised fist at the top central panel. It reminds me of the raised fists we've seen in countless posters representing the struggle and solidarity of workers' movements. We also see mask-like faces with hollow eyes, elongated skeletal bodies, and ghostly animal forms, all entangled in a web of sort of sharp, enigmatic lines. In a way, it kind of reminds me of pieces like Max Beckmann's Night, as every inch of the composition feels active and engaged. There isn't one central focal point and no space to rest your eyes. Instead, you're pulled into this chaotic, nightmarish scene. The stark contrast of black ink on white paper gives the work this graphic, raw intensity. The figures in The Inevitable show how El-Salahi combines these different elements to create his own unique visual language. You can see the influence of European surrealism in the dreamlike, often grotesque quality of the characters. The fractured and overlapping forms are reminiscent of Cubism, but the foundation is distinctly his own, built from African sculptural traditions and the fluid, expressive lines of Arabic calligraphy. Ibrahim El-Salahi has described the creative process for this work as an almost out-of-body experience, as if the figures were demanding to be drawn, emerging from the paper on their own. The panel-by-panel construction makes it feel like it's not just a drawing, but a story unfolding before our eyes. And it's a story that feels both highly personal and universal. And I think that's what makes it such a masterpiece of modern art, demonstrating El-Salahi's incredible ability to transform personal pain and political anger into a universal statement about life, death, and the enduring human spirit.
This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.